Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth.
Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over life and for salvation. I sit and listen to your story for the truth.
Good day, fellow South Africans and
You're
citizens of
telling me, please don't worry. There's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand. Good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And wow, my camera's way off bat. You don't realize how much stuff I've been doing. But here we are. Now you can see me. All right. Now, tonight we are talking about a subject every South African should be listening to. How to protect your land and what the ANC plan to do to your personal assets. It's quite an extraordinary situation. We're going to be having Advocate Willie Jordaan and Bennie van Zyl, the chairperson of the TLU, joining us to discuss these subjects. Let me show you an aerial image of what happened in Potchefstroom. That's an illegal land grab that took place just over the last couple of weeks. I'll be discussing this with Willie Jordaan in a couple of minutes. Now, just for the record, we'll be talking only for about 30 minutes because we're just keeping this particular live stream very short. Let me get Willie on. Hi, Willie.
Hello, Scott. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. I'll just get Bennie on with us so we can get the show on the road.
Okay.
Here we go.
I don't have a video feed of you, Scott. Is that fine?
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. It's because my streaming software steals my image.
Okay, because it looks like I'm looking into a mirror.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Okay. Now, while we're just waiting for... I think he's coming on now. Hi, Bennie. We'll just wait for Bennie to come on because when he comes on, he'll interrupt the flow of discussion. Here he comes. Hi, Bennie.
Hi, Scott. Willie.
Excellent, thank you. Excellent. You guys know each other?
Yes, we do. Hello, Bennie.
Hello, Willie.
All right. Now, I'm going to be talking to each of you about separate subjects. I'm going to be talking to Willie about basically what to do to stop illegal squatting on your land, and I'm going to be talking to you, Bennie, about expropriation without compensation. So if we can just kick off straight away with you, Willie.
Yes.
how can the ordinary, what can the ordinary person do as a first offence against illegal land occupation? I've just shown an image of what is going on at Potchefstroom.
Yeah, we'll get to Potchefstroom in a minute. It's a sad story, and it's going to still be in the news for a long time. Yeah, the Trespass Act, the Act number is number 6 of 1959. I'm going to ask you to, not now, but just in a few seconds, to put on an image of that particular act.
Right.
There's not many people that know about the Trespass Act. I've seen that on my social media, people asking questions, etc., etc., and that's why, you know, I'm going to explain this, and I'm going to try to be as meticulous as I can, so that everybody can quite clearly understand this. Now, this act is a one-pager. We don't have many one-pager acts in South Africa, but this is one of those.
It's also linked below this video too.
Yes, a copy is linked down to video. Thank you for that, Scott. Now, before I get to the act itself, I just want to read, it's titled In a Calabash, and it's by the tkp.tourism.gov.za. So it's a government tourism site, which gives a little bit of an introduction, or a calabash as they call it, about this act. Now, there's only 4 paragraphs. I'm going to just read this and quote it. First of all, objectives of the act. The TPA prevents the TPA refers to the Trespass Act, prevents any unlawful and unauthorized access or entry to land or buildings. And then summary of the provisions of the Act. All owners and all lawful occupiers of any land, property or establishment have the right to decide who is allowed to enter into and remain on that property or land. In many cases in South Africa today, properties are fenced off and access is strictly controlled. I'm going to come back to a sign that I need everybody to put on their property, and this is where this comes in, and I'll explain it as we go. In order to give full force and effect to the TPA, that's the Trespass Act, all owners or legal occupiers of any property should erect a fence or boundary wall around the property, which will be gated, and signs should be erected stating that unauthorized or unlawful access is not allowed. So that's their opinion. That's their opinion on what to do. That's the basis. Now, Scott, if you can, I just want to, okay, I'll translate in Afrikaans a little bit later. There is people in South Africa that struggle with the red language. So to accommodate them, but I'll do that later. Now you can put on the image of the Trespass Act for me, if you don't mind, and just tell me when it's on, because I don't have a screen feed. Scott?
Yeah, it's up now.
Is it up now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, anybody can go and search for this act. It's also in the comments below. It's the Trespass Act 6 of 1959. That means it's a very old act, and it's still on our books, and I'll prove it to you as well. Because in actual fact, this sounds too good to be true. Now, first of all, act to prohibit the entry or presence upon land and the entry or presence in buildings in certain circumstances. That's paragraph 1. And to provide for matters incidental thereto. Now, if I can ask the viewers, I'm getting some feedback, Scott. Am I still on?
Yeah, you're still here. Yeah.
Okay. Paragraph 1 and subparagraph 1 reads as follows. Any person without the permission of the following 2, of the lawful occupier of any land or any building or part of a building. Lawful occupier is it's a tenant, a person who's in charge of a particular property, left in charge of that property as well, and obviously the owner. And then paragraph B, any person without the permission of the owner or person in charge of any land or any building or part of a building that is not lawfully occupied by any person. So that's vacant land as well. If you don't have permission, then enters or is upon such land or enters or is in such building or part of a building shall be guilty of an offense unless he has lawful reason to enter or be upon such land or enters or be in such building or part of a building. Now, let's look at the penalties. That's number 2 there, penalties, subsection 1. Any person convicted of an offence under section 1, that's the one that we just read now, shall be liable to a fine not exceeding 2,000 rand or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 2 years or both such fine and such imprisonment. So I just want to pause here, Scott. First of all, you can see the seriousness of this offence.
Right.
It's very serious. It's a serious offence, and I'll come back to the Criminal Procedure Act on this in a bit. Paragraph 2, and this is very interesting. A court which convicts any person under subsection 1 may make an order for the summary ejectment of such person from the land concerned. May make an order for the summary ejectment. Okay, Scott, you can take it off.
Right.
The Act. Okay, now for our Afrikaans-speaking people, I just want to give a quick summary. The Trespass Act 6 of 1959 is 'n wet wat geskryf is om mense wat eiendom besit of huurders of enige persoon wat wettige toegang het tot grond of eiendom, om daardie persoon se reg te beskerm. Hierdie wet bied daardie, en is 'n kort wet, is 'n 1 bladsy wet. Die strawwe, as 'n mens hierdie wet oortree, is R2000 of 2 jaar gevangenisstraf of beide. So dis ernstig. En wat die wet verder sê is dat die hof by wie so klagte dan hanteer of aanhoor tydens 'n strafverhoor, so ver kan gaan om die mense se muur van daardie grond of uit daardie eiendom te sit. Afrikaans mense, julle kan net kyk onder op die video skakel, is daar 'n skakel na hierdie wet toe. Nou heel toevallig is die Afrikaanse wet geteken. Maar ja, julle sal dit daar kan kry, as julle sukkel kan julle my net kontak. Then I want to go towards the next part, Scott, and that's was this act tested and is it still an act in South Africa at this moment in time? Now, we're very fortunate. There was 2 cases reported in 2019 about this specific act. Now, the first case, and I'm going to give the case number, was 130 of 2019. I suggest people make a note of that, and it was in the Gauteng local division in Johannesburg. And it was the state versus Arthur Tubela. Now, in this matter, the court a quo sentenced Mr. Arthur Tubela to 3 years for illegal occupying a property. This was referred for a review in the High Court, and the only thing that the High Court said, there's a lot of other mumbo jumbo as well, but the main thing is there was no fault in the Trespass Act. The only mistake the Hof a quo, that's the Magistrates Court, made was sentencing this person to 3 years imprisonment instead of 2, because 2 is the maximum period. Okay, the second test.
Benny, just be careful with your papers. We can hear you shuffling papers on the... okay, back to you, Willie.
My apology.
That's okay.
No problem. Okay, and the second test was also in 2019, and it was a constitutional court matter. And it is the case between the economic freedom fighters and another versus the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services and another. CCT, that's the number 201/19. That's the case number, CCT 201/19. You can search for it on Google, you'll find it under Safely. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Basically, I'm going to read the court order and paragraph 8 of that order. And itself, it will explain itself. The court said, Mr. Julius Sello Malema and the Economic Freedom Fighters' prayer for an order declaring that the Trespass Act 6 of 1955 does not apply to unlawful occupiers under the Prevention of Illegal Evictions from and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act 19 of 98 is refused, I'm going to read it again. Mr. Malema's prayer for an order declaring that the Trespass Act does not apply to unlawful occupiers is refused. The Constitutional Court full bench confirmed that that act is still applicable. Just give me a second, Scott.
Sure.
Okay, so now I want to get to what does the layman in South Africa who does not know the law, what should they do? First of all, fence your property. Fence it, put a gate on, and put a sign on. Scott, you can maybe bring up the sign.
Yeah.
Something like this. You don't necessarily need to use the exact words of the sign, but it's a good indication of what should be put on there. You can use the estate agent type of signs. They are cheap. I think it's 5 or 10 rand for one. You can put it on. If they get stolen, just put it on again, because in South Africa, they most probably will get stolen. The reason for that is, if you wake up one morning and you see a bakkie full of corrugated iron, and now they're going to put up a shack on your property. Let's say you don't have a fence or at least a sign. Now you go to the police. Now the first thing the state need to prove is intent. You can't commit a criminal act without intent. Now, how do you prove intent? Or how do you help the state prosecutor to prove intent in a court trial? It's very easy. You show the court pictures of your fence with the board on saying no trespassing, no unauthorized entry, etc., etc. Because if the person who wants to occupy the land comes there and he sees, listen, this is the sign, this is private property, you can't tell the magistrate or the court, I didn't know that it was private property. You'll be lying and you'll be caught out very easily. So that's why it's very, very important to do that. And this steps that you go to the police, you lay a charge of trespassing, everybody can make a copy of the act, take it with them to the police station and show the policeman, listen, this is the act. I need you to lay a charge. I want to lay a charge upon this act. This is the applicable sections. It's a one-pager. You can put it in your purse or in your pocket and carry it with wherever you go. It makes it easy for the state, not necessarily police. They must open the docket. But then the state get the docket and they must peruse this docket and decide whether there is a chance to prove intent in committing a crime. So that's why I say it's very important for that sign to be put up. I don't know, Scott, am I going too fast? Is there any questions?
Oh, no, that sounds all good, yeah.
Well, is there any questions in your side view?
I have got one. I've got one
Okay.
from Manuel Magro. He says, please ask Advocate Willie Jordaan, under which circumstances can such a law be changed by a corrupt authority like a government who, for example, decides to change the constitution?
Well, if you talk about the ANC government, anything is possible and anything is easy. But at this stage, this act is on the books. The police, the state prosecutors, and our courts are obliged to act upon this act. And remember, as I said, it was confirmed in the Constitutional Court that there's nothing wrong with the act. It was also confirmed. So they'll have a difficult time in doing that. But people like Bennie van Zyl and many others will assist the public when something like this happens. Bennie is going to talk about the expropriation bill. He's got a great plan for the normal people out there to have their say, and they should do that. Now,
just on
Scott,
that score,
yeah?
Richard Anderson has said, this is why shopping centres have right of admission reserved at the store entrance on the doors.
Exactly. It's to curb trespassing. And that's also applicable to farmland, and to small holdings, and to houses in town.
Just to clarify, the only two requirements to secure your land are signs, like I'm showing right now, where it says this is private property, no trespassing, no unauthorized entry, right of admission reserved, and of course a fence which actually sits on your boundary line.
No, that's only to help you with your court case.
Yeah, but I mean, without those, you got a poorer case.
Yeah, I would say that, because it will be very easy for an accused person to go to court and say, listen, I didn't know this is private property. I just thought it's vacant land, so I pitched up my corrugated iron shack here.
Yeah.
But if the sign is there, he cannot bring that defense to court. He's got a problem.
Right.
Because he knew that it's private property.
Okay.
And he also know about the Trespass Act. So he's willingly, with intent, committing a crime.
And the courts have already ruled in favor of a landowner who's had someone trespass his land. So there are sort of existing cases which confirm that that is good enough. Okay, right.
Yeah. Okay, and in the Criminal Procedure Act, that's Act 51 of 1977, Section 40, arrest by peace officer without a warrant. When can a policeman arrest somebody without a warrant being issued? A peace officer may, without warrant, arrest any person who commits or attempts to commit any offense in his presence, whom he reasonably suspects of having committed an offense referred to in Schedule 1, other than the offenses escaping from lawful custody. Now, Schedule 1, one of the offenses is breaking or entering any premises, whether under the common law or a statutory provision. And the statutory provision is the Trespass Act, with intent to commit an offense. What will the offense be? If there's none other, at least there's one intent to commit an offense, and that is to occupy private property, because you willingly did that and you knew it's private property because of the sign again, hey?
Right.
Okay, now, sorry, Benny, I'm going over my time, but I want to go to JB Mark's local municipality in Potchefstroom, about the illegal land grab in Potchefstroom. So I don't know if you've got something there to put up, maybe that letter that I spoke to you about.
I've actually got that video footage I'll play while you talk.
Okay, yeah, do that. Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
Now,
just for
JB Mark's...
Willie, just so everybody knows, the video that's going to be playing behind Willie, you can see Willie on the screen too, is the illegal land grab in Potchefstroom. You saw the aerial footage earlier. This is from the ground. Okay, over to you, Willie.
Thank you. We'll do a full video on that because it's quite a long thing to explain, but I just want to touch on a few things on this matter. Now, there was a court case in my king, and an interim court order was granted, and a bevel nisi was ordered for the 11th of February. Bevel nisi, it means that the occupiers of the land or any other person should go to court and give reasons why the court should not grant a final order for eviction, because that's one of the prayers that's being asked in that from the court. Now, the interim order was granted. The interim order states basically that nobody can tell anybody else to occupy the land in question via social media or SMS or speeches or whatever. That's the first thing. And the second thing, that the authorities should make certain that nobody else occupies that land from now on. And also that all building of structures is stopped immediately. Now, I just want to say that's not happening. People are still flooding that area. They are still building, and it's still continuing as if nothing happened. Now, if you can bring up the letter of JB Mark's local municipality, that's our local municipality in Potchefstroom. And this was a media release dated 18 January 2021. And this was from the office of the executive mayor of the municipality in Potchefstroom. It's confirmed, it's legit, and it's real. I just want to take you to the middle paragraph of that letter. And in the middle of that paragraph, it starts with, however, there seems to be some pockets of society on either class or racial underpins, which seems to believe that the movement of black people into areas which were previously designated for whites will actually deviate the property value of such communities. And now, this is in any case nonsense, because any black person can buy property there. There's no problem with that. The problem is illegal stealing of land. That's the problem, Mr. Meyer. Now, the last paragraph. Our institutions should begin to embrace social inclusiveness as per the prescript of spatial development planning, which embraces social cohesion and non-racial society. So who's making this? Who's making this a racial issue in actual fact? The mayor, the municipality. Why do I say this? They're trying to wish away the illegalness of this land grab by saying that if anybody objects, he surely must be a racist. That's what they're trying to do here. And that's what they're actually doing. Now, I promise you, this letter is real. I stake my reputation on that. Now, in conclusion, Benny, then it's over to you. The ANC in the previous election years promised millions of RDP houses that would be built. That was part of their campaign promises. Did it happen? No. Why not? We all know the answer to that. Now I've got people who was promised houses and they won't receive it. They will never receive it. So what the government, not in a legit way in any event, and that's where the expropriation bill now comes in. Because if the expropriation bill is passed, this Trespass Act will mean nothing at the end of the day. Because from government side, they will overrule this Trespass Act. So to that previous question of your previous caller, that's the answer. That's why Bennie van Zyl and their fight for this is so very important. Now, the ANC must also keep their people happy. That's why they are handling them with a very soft approach whenever they trespass on property. That's why we'll see the police rather run away from such a scene than do their duty. And Scott, we'll do a video about neglect of duty of a police officer.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
And the policemen must know they can lose their pension. I promise you, you can lose. If you're a policeman and you don't do your duty, not me, but any good attorney in South Africa will make sure that you will not receive 1 cent of your pension, my friend. So you will sit on the street because the government won't look after you went on pension. Scott, now I'm finished because I'm getting quite angry at this stage. It's over to Ben.
Okay,
Thank you.
Before we do, I've got two questions for you. Slim Jinch has asked Willie if this law is in place, why did the DA allow the land grabs and tell everyone if you don't report it within 24 hours, then you can't get the illegals off your land?
It beats the living daylights out of me, Scott. I don't know. It's a one-pager act. It's so easy to understand. And it's so easy. You just go to the police station, you lay a charge. They must do their duty. If they don't do it, we sue them. They will get sued.
So the DA are talking BS then?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they took the long road of trying to avoid this. This is, according to me, a short route to try and avoid this. The only question with this Trespass Act is, will the police effect their duty in terms of this act to arrest people, etc.? Will the court, whenever the criminal matter is finalized, will they give an order that the people be evicted? And why I'm talking about the Trespass Act, it's a cheap option for anybody out there. You simply go to the police, then the state prosecutor will be your attorney on your behalf in prosecuting this. So that's why it's so easy. Why they didn't do this? Because they could have done this, and they could have gone to the High Court. And in the High Court, they could have quoted the case number under which they opened laid a charge in terms of the Trespass Act. It would have made their case so much stronger in any event.
Right. And one final question for you. Alan Morris has asked, squatters will pull down the signs and argue, or said, squatters will pull down the signs and argue there was no signs up. I suppose landowners could photograph the signs on the fences with a date stamp. What are the answers to that?
The answer to that is take a video of your signs, take a picture of your signs. If they take it down, that's theft. That's another charge above and beyond the Trespass Act that you can go and lay at the police station, because that's theft of property.
Right. Okay, fantastic. Thanks so much, Willie. We'll get you on right at the end, so stay online. Benny, over to you.
Thank you.
Yes, Scott.
Hi, Benny.
Yes, Scott. Do you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Now, Benny, you're going to be talking to us about the Expropriation Without Compensation Bill and its impact on people. And you also have a page where people can actually put up their points of view on this. Do you want to just start the subject and explain what EWC is actually all about?
Yes, thank you, Scott, for the opportunity. First of all, it's only the expropriation bill, and within that, they make a provision for expropriation without compensation.
Right.
There's a lot of things that we should take into consideration. First of all, we have to go to the Constitution in South Africa, in Article 25, that is going regarding the property rights in South Africa. And there's something, and I want to only put some emphasis on certain points within this whole reality that we have at this stage. In Article 25, they mention that property is not land alone. So it can be anything. If you talk about property, it can be anything. And that's very important to remember that. If we look into this expropriation bill, now first of all, I want to mention it. I think it's good that every country do have an expropriation bill for public purpose, for the reason of infrastructure development, building a dam or hospital, stuff like that. And that we do understand, and that's a very good thing, because each country would like to flourish and build the economy. I think that's very important. But now in South Africa, they apply something else added to that, and that is the public interest. Now, if you look into this whole situation, they say public interest includes the nation's commitment to land reform and to reforms in bring about equitable access to all South Africa's natural resources in order to reduce the results of past racial discriminatory laws or practices. That is what they now put in the Constitution as part of this definition, what is public interest. Now, first of all, we should realize it's not possible for anybody that can steal land. It's not possible. You cannot steal it. The people that do have the land at this stage have a title deed that they get from the government, and they are the rightful owner of that land. And nowhere in the history, someone, an individual person, a farmer can steal land. They make the accusations to us that we stole the land and therefore they have to rectify something. Now, that's very important to bring this into consideration as well, this whole public interest. But what my concern is within this law, and it's 24 pages, and you have to look each sentence, you have to go and look into it very clearly. What is the meaning of this? There are certain things. In certain paragraphs, they start with the wording such as, if the property is land, and then they go on. By telling that, they mean it can be something else as well. I concern that property is not land alone. That's very important to take notice of. And then they said, in the paragraph in chapter 5, where that goes about the compensation for expropriation. Now, point 3 they mention, and I want to read this as well. It may be just and equitable for no compensation. Sorry, I have to put up my specs. Sorry, this is a little bit. My apology.
That's okay.
I want to read it over again. This is the most important thing for me. They said it may be just and equitable for no compensation to be paid where land is expropriated in the public interest, having regard to all relevant circumstances, including, listen here, but not limited to. And then they gave 5 examples. So it's including those 5 examples, but not limited to. And that is, for me, the big problem within this act. Now they say you can do anything, and we can do it without compensation. And that is for me crucial. And then they put some examples, such as if it's an organ of state that holds the land, you can expropriate with no compensation. How bizarre is a statement like that? They already own it. It's actually laughable. You know, I don't understand what they mean by that. And then they say if the land is not used, you know, a farmer can have some camps for his cattle that he actually don't use in the summertime to have some winterveld. And now they can tell you, you do not use it. You will decide this. And so I can go on and on and on. But this is my concern, is that we do have an act that will put the government in the position that they can expropriate anything and without payment. Now, if you look into the reality of that, Scott, and that is my great concern, is that at this stage, South Africa's economy was already ruined into junk status before this whole COVID-19 reality hit our country. And that was because of the policy environment that the ANC creates, nothing else, because they don't build trust. Willie mentioned rightfully about the RDP houses. Why don't they give to them full title deeds? Now those people sit on their capital. If they give them full title deed, it became working capital. It doesn't make sense. The government at this stage gave already about to 19 billion people social grants. And they mentioned to them, if you do not vote for us, you will lose this grant. But it's not ANC money, it's state money, it's taxpayers' money. So the ANC misuse the taxpayers' money in this country. Well, we already know that regarding all the corruption and things going on. But that is my problem, that the ANC at this stage do not govern this country. They try to save themselves as an ANC political party. And with this expropriation bill, if they apply that and that will go through, no property, doesn't matter what it is, will be safe in the hands of the present owner, that is the rightful owner. And I'm not saying today that the ANC are going to expropriate everything, but they will be in a position to do that, and they will be in a position to take it without paying for that. And that is our great concern. So Scott, South Africa should stand up, because, you know, the principle of private ownership and the free market principles are those principles that take the economy to growth. That is the way how you can create wealth for the country. And this is my problem. We have to create much, much more growth so that we can address this unemployment that's growing every year under the ANC. That is a time bomb we are sitting on. Poverty connected to that is something that's not acceptable. We need economic growth, and everything that the government that's responsible should apply to the future should actually address that issue. What will the influence be on economic growth? Now my question, and then I want to stop, and then we can actually, if there's questions, we can talk about it. My question is, how rightful will an entrepreneur or investor be in his mind if you want to come and invest in a country where the government put it in a bill and they want to put it in the constitution as well? If they put it in a bill and said, but we have the right to take away your assets, your property, without paying for that. In my view, that's theft. It's legally theft that the government now tried to put on the table. Now, who will invest in a country such as that? And that's the baseline for starting economic growth, is investments. So they break down trust, and even everything they do, we cannot trust them. That's the problem. And now they bring this to the table. I think this is devastating for the future of South Africa's population. With this act and everything else, not only this, but a lot of other things, the ANC is busy stealing the future of every citizen in this country.
I totally get it. Now, you've got a petition, haven't you? Can I put that petition up just for a second? You can talk to us about it. Now, this petition is actually linked in the description below this live stream, so you can actually click on that TLU link and you go straight to this page. Okay, over to you,
Thank you.
Benny.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Yeah, we actually put on our webpage, we put a link where you can actually make a contribution. Just put in your name and we will add you to the group of people that oppose this devastating act. But there's also space where you can put in your own comments, what you would like to put in. And that is for us very important. And we from our side will make sure that our own comment, all the people's numbers, and as well as all the comments will present to the government before the 10th of February, because that is the latest day when we can give comments on this concept bill that at this stage are open for comments to the public. So people can go to our webpage, www.tlu.co.za, and there they will get all the information that they can actually participate through us. And everyone has a right to do it by their own, but we just want to make it easy for people. So they just can go into our webpage, click on the specific point there, and they can make the contribution. Put in the information, and then you will be also a person that put up your hand against this abnormality. You cannot build a future of something like this.
Right.
I just want to say something, Scott.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's free. There's no money to be paid. If Ben refers to a contribution, it's not money. It's a contribution in something that you've got to say and putting your name behind an idea or something. So there's no contribution in money. It's totally free, this service. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's good to actually clarify that. Yeah, for sure. We're not costing any money, but you can stand up against this. This actually, I don't know how to call this expropriation bill, how they put it on the table. It's unacceptable, and it will have an effect on every citizen in this country.
Right. Now, I've got a couple of questions here for you, Benny. I'll just put them to you now. Okay. Dan Berryman has said, does this apply to private property in the suburbs?
Exactly. That is the problem. This is going about private property. The expropriation bill is putting the government in a position that they can expropriate private property and making it their own. So the government can nationalize your private property by means of this bill.
Right. Okay.
Scott, can I come in here? Sorry for interrupting. Private property includes your car, your lovely Harley-Davidson motorcycle. It includes your bank account. That's private property, people. Everything you own or anything you own, this table I own, this is private property. This can be taken without payment. That's how far that the expropriation bill can go. We're not saying it will, obviously, as Benny said, but it can. Anything, this cell phone can be expropriated.
And I guess on that same line, your pets can be expropriated. Your pension fund can be expropriated.
Yeah. Well, my pets will bite, I promise you.
Luckily.
but your pension fund can be expropriated, can't it?
Yeah.
Okay, because that answers Manuel Magro's question. Yeah, look, basically we're saying anything can be expropriated. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions coming through. Sunface asks, how can the change in the Constitution based on a simple parliamentary majority? Surely it must be done by 2/3 majority by referendum.
Yeah, there's a discussion regarding this whole situation. There's certain clauses in the Constitution that you need 2/3 and some of them only a majority. But at this stage, in my viewpoint, as I do understand it, they need the 2/3. But the ANC, with some support from the EFF and specific individual role players, they will have that 2/3. So at this stage, as the parliament is compiled now, it will be possible for them, because some very extreme political parties will support this, actually for them as a stepping stone for something much bigger they would for sure want to have. So I have concern that the 2/3 is not the issue at this stage. You know, if you break a principle, Scott, and that's something I want to put on the table, if the principle of private ownership is broken, even by 1%, thereafter it's not more a principle discussion, then it will be a percentage discussion. And therefore it's very important that for the benefit of the role players of South Africa, we have to stick to the principle of private ownership, and we shouldn't lose that. And that's very important. Now, what the government will do with this, for the law, for this act, they only need a majority. That's the difference. And that is what we was concerned from the beginning, that they have a lot of, what do you call it, weerstand. Will you help me, please? Resistance, thank you. They have a lot of resistance regarding the Constitution, but now they came with exactly the same thing within an act, and there they only need a majority. So, and with this act connected to the Constitution, they can do that. So the Constitution at this stage, in my viewpoint, if they go through with this act, it will not be needed to change the Constitution because they can do what they want to within this act.
Right. Okay.
I want to say something.
Yeah,
Scott.
carry on, Bill.
Sorry. Remember, Parliament already obtained 2/3 majority. They already said to continue with this act. It must just be written, and then it will be accepted.
Right.
It's been done. It's been through that exercise already.
Now, Red Sky Alice has asked, this may be a question for Advocate Willie. I heard...
Attorney, actually.
Oh, Attorney Willie.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I heard EWC will be administered by municipal officials rather than the courts. Is this true? If so, it's worse that it's true.
I don't know. Benny might give an answer to that. I don't know. But what happened in Potchefstroom, and what I forgot to tell you a minute ago, one of the council members told these people to go and grab this land. It's a fact. It's not something that I think happened. That happened. A council member in the Potchefstroom municipality gave permission to these people to occupy the land in question in Potchefstroom at this moment. There's an investigation ongoing about that. And there was even a letter about this sent by J.B. Marks.
I understand that land that's been occupied in Potchefstroom didn't have a fence around it. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I heard, is that one of the problems they have is they didn't have a fence around it. Okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty well. I'm just going to see if there's any other questions. Barbara says... Barbara Sattler says, I am Austrian. I own property in a house in South Africa. Can they expropriate my property? I guess the answer is yes.
Definitely.
Benny?
And that's
Yes, I agree. I think definitely, but I think there's some agreements with different countries all over the world at this stage that still have an influence. And one thing that we experience is that the ANC government is very sensitive for the international world, how they see the ANC government. And therefore, perhaps that will not be first in line. They will be very sensitive to go on that road. But in principle, if they apply the act, for sure it can be done. And I think then that's something, Scott, that from at this stage, if we want to see South Africa as a stabilized country for the future, we need that the outside world tell the ANC, what are you doing? This is not the way to go. If you apply and stick to these type of principles, we will make sure that no investments come to your country anymore. We will not make any, we will not borrow money anymore to you because it's not safe there anymore for our capital, because capital is very shy for uncertainty. And they should tell it to this government, stop this nonsense. Otherwise, we will from our side make sure that our people will not invest in your country. We have to put pressure on this government. It's a pity that me as a South African citizen should ask something like that. But if we're not going to do this, this will be devastating for our future. There will not be economic growth, and that is not the way we would want to go. So all over, let's put pressure on this government that they can start think rational and bring some principles to the table that can grow the economy, that we can bring opportunities for all the people at this stage in our country.
Right. Willie, is there something you'd like to add?
No, but thank you for the opportunity, Scott, and thank you for everything that you have done, will do, and is doing.
Thank you, Willie. Now, Benny, I'm going to ask Marlena to give you a call because I'd like to have a live stream with you perhaps in the next month, just over a whole range of subjects, seeing that you're the chairperson of the TLU. And I did have a live stream with the previous chairperson, must have been about 18 months ago or something like that. I think he was the chairperson.
I think he was the chairperson, but I'm the general manager. So
you're the general manager. Okay, I've got to get that right. Okay. So you aren't the chairperson, you're the general manager. Let's get there. Okay.
That's right.
Right, okay. Anyway, I'll ask Marlena to give you a call. Is there anything you guys would like to say just in wrapping up this live stream before we turn it off? Penny, over to you.
I just want to say something. You know, it's a pity that you stay in a country that you love and you experience that the government that you do have became too expensive for the people and the future of this country. We cannot afford it any longer. It's for me a pity that I'm in such a situation, because it's not going about only expropriation without compensation. It goes about safety, about corruption. It goes about economic policy. It goes about education policy. It goes about infrastructure falling apart. And that is for me a pity that at this stage, if you measure all these things, you realize that the ANC are at this stage looking after themselves. And the people is not their focus. And that's exactly what it should be, and it's not the case. So we are staying positive from TLU South Africa's side. We build for the future. And the ANC are not going to make us negative. We're seeking solutions, and we are saying thank you very much for all the role players all over the world that make a contribution by means not only money, that's not what I'm meaning, but an input and some pressure. I'm sorry, my English, I should learn this, really. Contribution may be money, but I need something. Stand up, put up your hand. That's what I mean.
I've got to tell you, Benny, your English is really good.
Actually, you do not know how I struggle this side, but it doesn't matter. We all do our best because we have a message that are positive and we have to send it abroad. And thanks for that. We appreciate it so much. Thank you.
No problems. And just to remind people, the link to the petition on the expropriation bill at the TLU is in the description directly below this video. So please, if you're in South Africa, if you've got property, even if it's only a car, they can take that from you. So put in your comments and, be part of the answer or the solution. Now, Willie, over to you to wrap up the live stream.
Yeah, I have a message for the people in South Africa. Don't lay down and just accept things. Start to resist. We need resistance against this. How do we do that? Well, for tonight, go to TLU, the website, and go and leave your comment there. That's a way of resisting this injustices that's coming our way. And share this and ask your friends and family to do the same. Here's the TLU, they're standing up, they're raising their hands. They will help and give assistance, but they need signatures. That's the way the ordinary person can resist without breaking any laws. So just please do it. Benny, I want to thank you as well for what you are doing. Good job.
Thanks, Willie. Same to you. Thanks, Scott.
Pleasure, guys. Now, Sharon just alerted me to the fact that I missed a question she had asked, and it's really a statement, and I'll just read it to you, and perhaps one of you can answer this. She says, nobody is talking about the fact that millions of blacks will lose their properties through the Ultra Land Tenure Act. Is that correct?
No, I don't know anything about that, Scott.
Okay.
How is that possible? Obviously, they want to give them more. They want to give them my property.
Yeah.
Well, why will they take away their property? Will they give it to me? I don't think so.
Maybe
Never,
they mean
never.
maybe they mean nationalize it. Okay.
No, no.
All right. I just want to thank my guest tonight, Bennie. Lovely to have you on. Lovely to meet you, Willie. You're like an old friend of the Loving Life family. You've been on a couple of times, and good to see you again. Thank you for your expertise and information. I'm sure this video will get out there, and people will take a lot of note of what you have to say. I'll be providing you both with a link to this video in a few minutes, so you can actually put that out to your Facebook pages or social media or wherever. I want to thank the moderators for the great work that they do. For those who are watching this video, this live stream, please remember to subscribe to Loving Life. We have live streams most nights at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time on a whole wide range of subjects, and wow, we cover just about everything and anything. Alrighty, please take care, everybody. I'll leave the side chat open for a couple of minutes, and then I'll see you very shortly in the next live stream. Okay, thanks once again, Bennie and Willie.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, we'll catch up soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.